Esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Rochan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. Esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the LAN Finals of Starladder Season 11. We're here on the final day. Championship Sunday is among us. Only 3 teams remain, and we're going to crown that winner coming up later today. We've got our panel back, David Parker, a.k.a. Gods, Dakota Cox, a.k.a. KOTLguy, and we got Ben Wu, old Merlini down there. How are we feeling this morning, boys? Fresh as daisies?
Nah, I'm feeling great, man. I'm pretty wired. I'm ready to go.
I'm pretty amped. I was up early, thinking about all the amazing things that could happen in the grand finals. We've got Empire with a 1-0 advantage, ready and waiting for whoever can win this first series. Asus.Polar versus NiP.
I was up early, ready to cast some Dota, and it's like, oh man, I've got to wait 4 extra hours today. This is, it was tough. It was tough. I had to go back to sleep and just wait it out, but here we are. The finals day is among us, and just 3 teams remain: Asus.Polar, NiP, and Team Empire in the grand finals.
So we are going to get things started with our first best of 3, actually soon to start in about 5 minutes here coming up. So rather short pregame to get us kicked off today. Let's talk about some statistics. These 2 teams both been looking pretty strong. We saw NiP at the tail end of yesterday against Empire. Not looking as hot in that series, maybe getting a little too cutesy with their draft, but certainly picked some interesting heroes.
Yeah, both these 2 teams have had a really good run in style. You can see here these are fairly kind of new rosters and new teams as far as style is concerned, both with very high win rates. And as far as the LAN finals go, it was NiP who had the kind of the smoother run going through the winner bracket until they met Team Empire. For Asus.Polar, this is a grudge match. They actually got knocked down to the lower bracket by NiP. So this is the second time these 2 teams have met, and that was a very one-sided 2-0 when Asus.Polar lost that series.
I think this might be more interesting than the grand finals because I think Empire is slightly better than both of these teams, and VP.Polar and NiP. VP.Polar probably better on paper, but NiP with a 2-0 before it was probably one of the most astounding results in the tournament.
Yeah, that was that series. The game 1 was that crazy minus armor strat, and then the game 2 was when kind of chalked it up to tilt a little bit for Asus.Polar. They drafted that Tusk, the Shadow Demon. We've referenced it pretty much any time there's been a throwy type draft.
But also not to discredit, of course, Ninja Pajamas. They put together like a nice Lycan push objective lineup, and they executed it very, very well.
Yeah, so that's definitely true. So yesterday we talked about how they're a team that's not afraid to move out of the meta. That's what their manager and Era told me, that they pick what they think is strong, what they think might work. Yesterday we saw an off-lane Ricky in game number 1. Didn't work out so well. Jonas struggled to really get online and just kind of backfired a little bit. Game 2 we saw the Queen of Pain and the Undying, 2 first-timers in this tournament. I think that was the first QoP picked in 6.83 in competitive matches.
Yeah, first QoP pick. We had a first Ricky pick. I mean, even just looking at this tournament, there were some new picks coming out. We had Invoker for Resolution, which you hadn't seen yet this tournament.
Enchantress had come out. Terrorblade finally showed his ugly face.
And I think that's something we're going to see again here in the lower bracket final, especially with NiP. They're going to have some preset drafts and strategies. They're not just going to be going completely conventional. That was how they managed to take down Asus.Polar 2-0 already, so I feel like something similar is going to be coming out once more.
So, Merlini, what are you thinking in terms of odds for this matchup? How strong would you say NiP is against Asus.Polar at this stage in the tournament?
Asus.Polar is, I would say, slight favorites, maybe like around 60-40, maybe a little bit more in favor if I had put odds on it. But it's really difficult to tell. Like before the last BO3, I would have been like, oh, for sure, Asus.Polar. But now, I mean, NiP has brought a whole new game to this tournament, and they had like the first Starladder pick, I believe, as well. And I don't know, we might see some more cool stuff.
This is the time. I mean, it's elimination point. They've made it this far. If they want to pull out something funky and fresh, it better be now.
It might even be something like a Brood Mother, which teams just like eventually it's going to slip by.
Jonas has played a few games of Brood too, so that's seriously a consideration which Asus.Polar may overlook, which NiP may be like, let's get this 4th or 5th pick Brood and catch him by surprise. So it's hard to say what's coming out at NiP, and I think that's something which is kind of scary for Asus.Polar, who have a much more kind of predictable way of drafting. There's a kind of smaller hero pool for Illinois, or at least a more expectable hero pool for you know what heroes he likes to go for. It's easier to ban and draft against him. Similarly for some of the other players like DK Phobos, you know, he likes his Zeus, whatever it may be. So it's a lot easier to read Asus.Polar.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of FNG Wisp this tournament. That's, at least for me, a go-to ban. I think if they let that get through, they're going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with it. Even if they grab heroes like Disruptor, your Witch Doctor, that are traditionally pretty good against the Wisp, FNG just knows how to execute and bring the pain, as they say. Also, Vengeful Spirit, the talk of the tournament, the talk of the patch, talk of the meta. She's just all over the place.
Yeah, got to make sure you also ban that Wisp. I think that's almost a given at this point. For both these teams.
As important. Venge is not as important.
Did I say Venge or Wisp?
You said Wisp.
I was talking about
Wisp.
Venge,
I think it's just like it's like going to be banned no matter what. Venge is. I think I've seen Venge lose a fair amount in this tournament.
She is 8-6, so positive win rate, but nothing too spectacular. Another hero I want to throw out there in terms of we haven't seen but could possibly make a showing, Bloodseeker. We saw it at the tail end of the DAC qualifiers. A hero with, I think, some potency and maybe some viability, and it wouldn't surprise me if NiP tried to do something funky around that interesting hero.
Yeah, it's good versus Anti-Mage, one of Illidan's go-to heroes. So I think there's always going to be heroes that they have in mind for Illidan's picks. It's like Drow Ranger, they might pull out a Brood. Anti-Mage, they might pull out a Bloodseeker. And Dusa, who knows what they have. I mean, they already had the Lycan push. So I don't really think they're scared of Illidan. They don't really need to target their bans for him.
So looking at it on the other side, what kind of ban should you prioritize against NiP, given that they're kind of a wild
Veno
card?
First phase, easily.
Veno?
Or
the 8-Mother Veno?
Phobos plays it, so I would say if their first pick, they take Veno or ban Veno, and then aside from that, I mean, that's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. Veno Viper, those top 2 heroes played by 8-Mother, as we were talking about yesterday.
If NiP at first pick, you kind of need to ban the Wisp as well. So it could be like the Veno Wisp. Maybe if you have first pick, you ban out something like the Axe instead. So there's other bans you can kind of go for when you're up with them. But NiP, they're going to be coming onto the main stage soon. We've got an interview with one of their players. 8-Mother is with Ina for a quick interview.
Well, 8-Mother has just joined me for a pre-match interview. Hello, how are you doing?
Starova. I'm doing pretty good.
Well, you surprised yesterday with your drafts. Was it your pocket strategy or was kind of spontaneous decision?
It was kind of a bit of both. We felt like you want to like do what you want to do, because sometimes you get really scared to do the strats you actually practiced at home. So it was a bit of a confused moment for us, I think, but those picks are fine in some cases, but the draft wasn't super good, I can say. So
are there any heroes commonly picked at this LAN event you assume to be overrated?
Yes.
Which of them?
I don't want to speak about them.
Okay. It's a confidential information,
Yeah,
I understand that.
Top secret. But you can see Russian teams really like the Axe, for example. I don't think it's first pick material, so we'll see about that. But
okay, we'll see. Well, you're facing Asus.Polar next. You don't expect for an easy win, the same as you had on Friday, right?
No, I don't think they're going to let us win easy this time. It wasn't easy, but I think we outdrafted them both games last time. They didn't expect us to get the Wisp as a first pick. They were trying to like get it as a second pick, which was kind of greedy of them, but they didn't know we played it, so it was kind of a surprise pick that worked out very well for us. This time, I think the Wisp is going to be banned in all the cases, so we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you for an interview. Wish you best of luck, and going back to you guys.
All right, so learning a little bit more about 8-Mother and the Ninjas in Pajamas.
He had some cool things to say about that last series, especially around the Wisp, which he predicts, probably rightfully so, is going to be banned throughout this entire BO3. Basically saying in their first series, I think it was that game 1 where NiP got first pick Wisp, I think his read on that was that VP.Polar, Asus.Polar were thinking they could get Wisp second pick. They didn't know NiP played Wisp, so he thinks they kind of like caught them by surprise with the first pick Wisp. So interesting to note. But now everyone knows the Wisp is a hero that every team here can play, and every team here will first pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just banned throughout the rest of this tournament and the rest of this day. But and then also, of course, got to keep some things confidential. Maybe they have some secret strats they want to be pulling out, so can't dive into that too much.
He didn't want to say which heroes teams were picking that were overrated. I have a feeling it may be the Puck, which every team is picking and losing with.
Yeah, the Puck win rate for this tournament, I think, is still pretty
like
abysmal.
1 in 10 or
1 in 7. Yep, 1 in 7. So the
TC with the 1 win, mind you.
And that was a safe lane.
That was like, he was top farm as well, so.
I think Magnus is also overrated.
A little?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Definitely picking up early.
Well, it's because they like Veno, and Veno is really good versus Mag, but in general, I think Mag's, I mean, you can first pick it occasionally, but not like, oh my gosh, if we get Mag, we win. I think that's some of the mentality of some of the drafters, and has not been the case.
It has been a hero Mag has been going for. I know appropriately Mag for Mag, but this time if they even want to somewhat consider, they better have that Venomancer already banned, and then usually their go-to for Mag from there is the Puck.
8 Mother was the astounding Mag player from last Starladder.
Yeah,
so he knows it in his analysis of the heroes. So if they haven't been picking it, I think that's probably one of the ones.
Magnus, the hero, actually has a decent win rate this tournament. He's been picked in 7 of the games, and he's actually 5-2. So when he does get through, he actually has tended to win, at least statistically here. Spirit Breaker, another one we said.
What about Spirit Breaker?
Yeah.
They used this hero both games to beat MVP Phoenix. I mean, obviously it's viable, but are they? Was that just a match they were better than MVP Phoenix, or is this hero like going to be a legit top pick in this series, do you think, Ben?
Spirit Breaker is a strange hero. I think he's actually very good a lot of the time, and a pretty solid offlaner, especially when you want to fight a lot early, which is, I guess, both of these teams' playstyle.
Phobos seems to be their new Spirit Breaker player, and he found a lot of good success with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's a bit of that Spirit Breaker factor. You don't know where he's going to be coming from as long as you don't have vision of him, and that can keep you a bit nervous.
He's really good against specific heroes. Anti-Mage comes to mind as a carry that he can kind of shut down. The blink doesn't disjoint the charge, but there are heroes that do counter him pretty effectively. Lion is one, Rubik, anyone who with some kind of an instant disable, you can kind of...
They're good in theory, but it rarely works out. I think
Searing Chains is the other one we saw.
Yeah, that was really good, but at the same time, they still lost, and he still died a lot to him. So... like he's one of those heroes that's really difficult to play against. You can't really draft against him either. You kind of have to like live in constant fear of, oh crap, he could be charging, and it's kind of like Nature's Prophet, except just a little bit more different, a lot more lockdown.
So is it ban worthy? Is really the question.
I think so. Probably second phase though.
Yeah.
It depends on what they want to go for. Too. Like if they go for push, Spirit Breaker's not very strong.
I think it's a very playstyle thing too. I think it worked well against the MVP Phoenix playstyle. They may look at NiP and be like, Spirit Breaker maybe not as strong, but going back to that game 1 where these teams previously met, there was a lot of constant early fights, and I feel like Spirit Breaker could be pretty good in that scenario.
Yeah, another hero
thing. Sorry, it's just like there's so many options. You got to make sure you get rid of the Wisp. Obviously, you're considering the Venomancer ban, and then next thing you know, something slips by like a Brewmaster, and then you're like, I totally forgot about that hero as well. We're at a time where you need to make sure you prioritize the bans appropriately. So, yeah, but that's the thing is you might have to save some of these bans for the second phase, but by then it might be too late. They'll get it.
Another hero that NiP prioritizes a lot in terms of banning and picking is Dazzle. We see them often first ban or first pick him. Yesterday, he was first picked a bit, and that didn't work out so well, though, to be fair, Empire ran Axe both games. So... kind of a hard counter there.
They picked him after the Axe, so that definitely shows they have a lot of confidence and really want to be playing the hero if they're willing to pick it after their opponents get an Axe.
And they first banned Dazzle more than any other team this tournament in that first phase by a huge, huge margin. They really value the Shadow Priest, and frankly, I'm not sure why. I mean, I think Dazzle's strong, but I don't know that he's that scary relative to some of these other heroes.
Back to the Summit, too. I was wondering the same thing. Puppy first picked it when Secret was there, and we asked some of the players, and they're like, Puppy knows something that we don't.
I guess just the armor synergy, especially with Vengeful Spirit being as popular as she is, you already have a bit of synergy between two supports then. Put on top of that maybe any sort of possible Desolator carrier, a Shadow Fiend, someone who can just add on top of that, and you'll be able to break through any of the toughest, the biggest, baddest cores in the game.
Okay, well, we're about to load into our first series of the day. Only 2 series today, folks. It's a best of 3 to get things started, and the winner here will be squaring up against Empire, waiting with a 1-game advantage in the best of 5 grand finals coming up this afternoon. So we're going to have Dakota as well as Merlini casting the first game. And, well, after this short break, they're going to take it away.
All right, it's going to be time here. We're going to be leading off the day here, the final day, day number 4. We got to find out one of these two teams are going to be able to move their way on through to the grand finals. They've already been brought down one time before, and they're taking the long, hard road, and the winner is going to move on to face Empire, who will be coming into the grand finals with a 1-game advantage. After the first performance against Polar, NiP looked absolutely dominant. They won a lot of fans, and you would think that they would be at the advantage coming into this. But then after the loss, Polar looked really good. So what do you think, Ben?
Polar, I favor Polar in this series. At the same time, I don't know. Is this going to be another 2-0? That has been the trend of the tournament. But these two teams are fairly evenly matched, and I don't know. A lot of the games have just not been one-sided, or been completely one-sided, rather, even though the two teams, I think, are of relatively equal skill. And all of it comes down to the draft, or a lot of it, rather.
So many 2-0s. It makes you wonder just how important that first game is, and being able to have that boast of confidence going to game number 2, or perhaps how tilty you can be when you drop that first game. So we'll see if that trend continues here for day number 4. And just as we talked about and expected in the early part of this draft, Ninjas in Pajamas, they are going to be banning out that Dazzle. They also make sure to remove the Wisp, the pesky FNG Wisp. On the other side, Asus.Polar. They get rid of that Venomancer. No surprises there. And another 8-Mother Classic, the Viper. But now they're able to pick up the Brewmaster, who does make it through that first phase, as expected. And in Ninjas in Pajamas, when you can't get Wisp, you got to get the Vengeful Spirit, and they follow it up with the Juggernaut.
Good old Jug. Era played a mean Jug in this tournament. One of the better ones that I've seen. And a hero that's like a little bit new, so you don't expect some of the players to be completely proficient in it. But Era is more. He was really good on it.
Everybody has their own style with this hero. You see that with a lot. And Jug seems to be one of them. Some like to pick up phase boots. I believe Era's one to go for the power treads. Obviously, thereafter you gotta get that Mask of Madness. But then after that, it's anyone's game. It's anyone's game. Back in the day, it was all about utilizing the ultimate, getting the Agnum Scepter, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Of course, in the recent 6.83b patch, they did make some changes to him, of course. They felt that maybe he was just a little too good, and he had not received a nerf since like 2007 before that. It had been a long time, but now his Omni/range, not quite as far, and well, they also had to take down that armor 1 notch with the boost he got in stats recently. And here we go, Polar, the trend continues. They're going to grab up the Troll Warlord as their second pick, side by side with that Brew.
I think Jug's really good versus both of these. He has a way to disengage versus the Brewmaster with just spin and run away. I mean, Healing Ward's also pretty good to survive throughout the Brew ultimate. And on top of that, he has a lot of burst that isn't really mitigated too much by Drunken Haze or Drunken Brawler, which is kind of what you're worried about with the physical damage carry. And on top of that, the Whirling X is not too big of a deal for Juggernaut. And there's a lot of redundancy on the Asus.Polar, their defense capabilities. There's a lot of blind, which makes MKB and magic damage really good for NiP.
Next band coming out from Asus.Polar is going to be the Enigma here. When I see something like that, I don't remember, and I don't believe that's going to be any sort of respect Enigma band towards NiP, but maybe more so that they're going to be continuing their trend of playing 2 very defensive supports who maybe don't go too mobile early, and in that case, a very greedy support, maybe like Enigma, would benefit from being able to work in the jungle and find the optimal farm. I don't know if that's something you might agree with or not, or maybe they just don't want that big team fight impact. It just seems a bit intriguing to see the Enigma band as the 3rd band there for Polar.
It's a little strange. Polar haven't revealed any of the supports at all. So, I mean, maybe they want a greedy jungler of their own, like a Sand King, let's say, and they don't want it to be punished by even more greed. And I think Enigma is one of the only junglers that can compete with the farming pace of a Sand King. But other than that, it isn't terribly common to ban out the Enigma versus NiP.
Pretty intriguing stuff. We go through the bans. Spirit Breaker, he's got to go. Phobos found a lot of success with them recently. And on the other side, Axe, who, my God, yesterday it was like I was at the basketball all-stars. Just so many dunks happening right there, especially from Yoki in the last series with Empire. And overall just been trending very, very nicely. So they get rid of that extra bit of initiation and utility. And as we finish out the secondary bans, I'm trying to think here, because remember, they do like to go very defensive. Shadow Demon, something they've gone for. Of course, we talked about the Tusk, which did not work out. They're not going to have access to Dazzle. Some of these teams are slowly getting a bit on the Omni train. You know, we see it a lot in North America, but everywhere else it's kind of finicky. Something they could always go to. I know Empire has been picking it up, but here it's a bit wishy-washy, I feel. If they want to go defensive support, I feel like that's going to be one of the best.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So NiP, they ban out a Skywrath. I actually thought they might take Skywrath because you need something versus a Brewmaster. You need at least one very short cast time disable, or like an AoE silence, or even just a regular silence. But something pretty long duration to disable his ultimate. Hex really good. Finger, again, magic damage is going to be really good for NiP. And with the Vengeful Spirit, she's not reliable lockdown versus Brewmaster.
Yeah, having that Lion, key initiator there, that instant CC that you talked about, plus the mana drain certainly helps. It's more instant. That they changed up recently, and being able to take that mana away from the Brew.
Oh yeah, the mana drain's really good now too.
Yeah,
it's especially good versus the Brewmaster builds that don't go Arcane. Like even if you catch him in a Impale, you can usually drain enough mana to get his to disable his ultimate, but usually they have magic stick charges and whatnot. So
yeah, a lot of people playing those magic stick charges now. And the Rubik now going to be picked up here from the side of Polar, another hero that's really coming back into the limelight, and well, with good reason here. And he's got a plethora of options here as far as being able to steal from. Lion, obviously, anything is pretty good. Even the mana drain works out nicely for Rubik. Juggernaut, of course, Omni Slash would be fantastic. And Vengeful Spirit offers an extra bit of lockdown with the Magic Missile, and even the swap could work out nicely there for him. And overall, that means that they can tend to be maybe a bit more aggressive early on, expects potentially some early smoke gank attempts and some pressure towards the mid laner, whoever that may be, So we'll see. Era has been one to play the Jug, and a team that overall likes to swap the roles around quite a bit. But we're getting ready to go into the back end of this picking phase here. Very methodical coming out from both teams, it feels like. But it's going to be the Puck. And we already said how it's not had a lot of success, but they do have the Lion on their side, so they don't have to worry about the instant CC capabilities there. But an immediate fire back coming out from Polar, a hero that we talk about a lot but don't see enough of, the Faceless Void.
Faceless Void is decent versus Juggernaut, not amazing. Both of them can kill each other in like a blink of an eye. And you know, if Juggernaut gets a spin-off during the Chronosphere, he won't get bashed too much, or the bash damage rather, but at the same time, if Faceless Void doesn't catch a Juggernaut, he can Omni him during the Chronosphere. So actually maybe not with the lessened range, so that might be something to consider. Puck, I think, is pretty good here. Puck, I like in the second phase pick. He's just generally not a great first phase pick, especially with Lion and Disruptor on the up and up and up.
Razor is going to be your last pick here for Ninjas in Pajamas. And with that, they bring a little bit of extra to that tower sieging and objective gaming, and works out pretty nicely, even against the Brew. You're able to sap plenty of damage, and Troll Warlord, who's one that's typically looking to get in your face and close the distance. Razor loves that. He loves the kind of man-fight style, so I do see a bit of an upper hand there. For Asus.Polar's last pick, they're looking for the secondary support. Witch Doctor is probably the one that stands out the most, who has some great synergy with Faceless Void. Yeah, you can't drop the Death Ward right in the middle of the Chrono anymore, but certainly adds a lot. Cask is very potent, and of course, you get the extra bit of sustain with that healing power.
That's one of the more common combos with Faceless Void. Yeah, the common combos are what? Skyrath, Witch Doctor, and Sand King, I'd say, to some extent. I don't really think they run Sand King that much. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen a little bit more, but yeah, most likely just the last support for Polar.
What do we think, though, now that we see Ninjas in Pajamas full drafts as far as how they want to go with the tempo? It doesn't look like they maybe want to take this to the long distance.
They can. It's like BKBs aren't that big of a deal for NiP. Juggernaut doesn't really need BKB. Razor, he's up against a lot of physical damage, so he doesn't really need one too. I think he needs like a more tanky armor build. So it's not going to be like a wait for a BKB timing.
It's going to be the Lich. It hasn't been an FNG grab, and with that you get the extra benefit from the armor. He can actually add a lot from the outside of a Chronosphere, and in these congested battles, Chain Frost certainly could be very, very potent.
It's generally better versus a lot of melee heroes. Like the Chain Frost is better, I think, when you have like a Puck Coil, something to keep him in place. But versus a Jug, who's magic immune, versus a Puck who can phase shift, and 3 ranged heroes, I think the Chain Frost is not going to be very useful here at all. However, of course, the Frost Armor going to be very useful versus the physical damage from Jug, as well as the Eraser, and just pretty much guarantees a lane win.
All right, so we go. We can see people are beginning to file on in for the last day of Starladder Season 11. It's time to get hyped up, man. We got to find out which team's going to look to push on forward and make it to the grand finals.
I did not ask you.
I'm looking for some good Dota. I know that's kind of the easy cop-out here. NiP had looked so dominant. They looked so dominant against Polar, but I feel Polar are newly rejuvenated after they were maybe a bit tilted. I know it's a cop-out. So I'm going to say, and we didn't get the chance to do predictions, Merlini, I'm going to be going with the 2-1 for Polar. What about you, man?
2-1 Polar. I think 2-0 Polar.
2-0 Polar?
I don't know. I mean, is it fair for me to change it after this draft? I think going in, I would probably say 2-0 Polar, but after seeing this draft, I don't know, maybe 2-1 Polar or 2-1 NiP, something around there.
So when you imply after seeing this draft, you think that NiP have the better draft?
I think so.
Okay, fair enough.
I like the draft a little bit more. It seems a little bit more well-rounded. They have a lot more control in team fights. Like Chronosphere is decent, but they don't have that much follow-up. Like a short-range hero like Troll Warlord, not the best at following up. And Chain Frost, I already talked about not being very effective. And NiP, they have like good disables for the Brewmaster. They have the Lion and the Puck. They have a lot of physical damage and difficult to kill heroes with the Razor and the Juggernaut. Even if you do catch them in a Chronosphere, they still have the Vengeful swap, and I think their lanes are just slightly better.
So we'll see here. No early aggressive movement. Polar had done it before, the classic 5-man smoke to kind of go with a nice high tempo early first blood, but not going to be the case this time. Sound of the Horn is going to lead things off for our first match of the day, and got some precious 100-100 bounty roots to pick up here. But it looks like for now both mid laners are going to opt to go for the block instead and allow maybe a couple of the supports to pick it up. It looks like Hanskin's going to grab up that top bounty rune, and that will leave Troll for Illidan there to go halfway towards level 2, getting that small bit of a boost. And to lead things off, it looks like Vengeful Spirit's going to help out with the Razor, maybe trying to give him the benefit of the first wave. I say that, and he pieces out, so making me a little funky there. But it's going to be the off-late Faceless Void now, going against this tri-lane setup between the Lion, Vengeful Spirit, and Era's Jug. He's obviously going to be running into a little bit of trouble here, is Mag. But he went with the early Stout Shield. Lots of regen on him, though. 8 Tangos and 1 Salve.
Something cool that I've seen from Lion zoners is skilling mana drain very early, sometimes even level 1, versus like a Clockwork or like a Faceless Void, someone that needs mana to escape, as opposed to someone like a Timbersaw or a Centaur who's naturally pretty tanky.
Yeah.
So this could be an option if he wants to deal with the Faceless Void. At the same time, they need to make him low at some point in order to threaten a kill, but that is certainly possible. You don't want him leaping away from the spin. I think Era is not a Max Blade Furier build. I think he usually goes for a 1-1-1.
Lil's going to be bullying back Jonas on his Puck from getting a whole lot done. In mid lane, you got a dual lane, I'm going to make a dual lane happen. So a lot of priority here for the supports to kind of be by their side. This does, of course, mean that the mid laners are not going to get quite as much XP, but a lot more favoritism to be sure that they can get that extra bit of CS going here. Rue grabs up his 4-1, eats a stun for it.
But look no clap for build from him.
Yeah, you're right, and he also went with the early Drunken Haze, prioritizing and preventing. What a way to lead things off, Merlini. First blood happening bottom, and it's going to be Illidan grabbing up right there.
Mag's so close to living on, or so close to dying on top. Really close. Yep. I think with one less point in backtrack, he would have died.
Getting warmed up here. I'm going to chalk it up to that one right there. But they will step back. 2-minute rune pops up. Phobos will grab the one there at the top lane. Lil scouts out the haste and protects it for now, but nearby Seal Kid is looking to put up some contention that will force Rubik to grab it, and he's going to just kind of hunt him down a little bit right there. And both off-laners continue to get harassed quite a bit. It looks like Jonas is going to go over to the side shop for now and just do a little bit of possible stacking here, but he also sees Rubik is still pretty deep. maybe looking to see if he can cut him off at the pass right here. Gets off a few right clicks, but he's got plenty of haste to work with, and he just kind of walks on away.
It's a tough lane for a Puck. I think Troll excels in this area of the game, the one-on-one laning phase, especially with the long range chase.
Stun, static link, and 8 Mothers be able to soak up a fair amount of damage right there. And
now he can't even go back to the lane. Jonas, some fan. He is up against a phase boots Troll without any boots of his own, and he's only level 1, so no chance of dodging the range slow from the axes. It's a tough life for him.
Yeah, and Puck is obviously one not to be very good at jungling. We saw this a bit from like the Na'Vi Radiant side where Funnick had to opt to go with that cliff jungling Puck, and he's doing a bit of the same here.
He needs a Quelling Blade to do this. He doesn't have enough trees cut down.
He's falling on hard times right now, and he's going to have to deal with this sticky situation. Now shifting up to the top lane, FNG Lich is going to be side by side with Mag on his Faceless Void. Is 5-3 and almost at level 4. Is getting plenty out of the lane, definitely more than Jonas is on his off-lane Puck. And on the other side, it's Era with 12 and 8 CS, but Illidan's getting so much on the bottom. You know, obviously with the free lane, he's at 23 and 11. This Troll is going to get farmed up really quick.
Polar is getting so much out of the map right now. I mean, Rubik's able to just stack and double pull. FNG's just running around, denying creeps everywhere. Bruce still getting farm in mid. Troll is absolutely free farm bottom. It's looking really bad for NiP, especially with this Puck who has become a huge liability.
4-minute rune comes. 8 Mother shifts towards the top. It's going to be that bounty, leaving Rubik again to grab another rune here on the bottom, which will be the Invis. We'll see if he decides to put that to strong use here.
Jonas fan didn't even stack. He did pick up the Quelling Blade, but I mean, without stacking that camp, you don't really have another camp to turn to very easily.
Looks like a bit of a congregation towards the mid lane. Lil had grabbed up that Invis. He's going to go right behind. They're waiting for the right opportunity.
I think this is a kill.
It's going to be rough, but there goes the move on to Phobos, and they're going to maybe move it right back at him. 8 Mother gets tossed back, but he's still soaked up a fair amount of damage, and he's going to put that attention towards the Rubik. Lil could be in trouble. Orb forward, and Jonas may have been struggling quite a bit, but he gets a kill there. 8 Mother, though, is not going to walk away scot-free. He goes down in exchange, a 1-for-1 trade.
And it's great and all killing the Brewmaster, but there's so many heroes that you have to worry about, and Polar is winning all 3 lanes pretty hard, I'd say. Look at Jug's CS compared to Mag's. It's actually only 6 CS above, which is really low 5 minutes in.
Yeah, and Mag knows that he's got plenty of space to work with now, so he tries to move on forward and get that bit of CS, but here comes Hanskin. Get the hell back, Mag. You're not going to get any sort of easy CS here.
Look at Illidan sieging bottom tower already with Battle Trance.
Really, just no contention. This is like a dream come true for your core Scythe laner.
Looks like Illidan is going to, an HOD stacking build. They have better late game than NiP, with Faces Void Troll and Brewmaster able to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and Puck is, I mean, that was a nice orb, and he's doing a decent job recovering Mag.
Yep, he's in trouble. They're spinning on him. Era, the stun's going to be there. Mag does get the time walk off. Is going to be good for now, and obviously going to be walking away with just about 30 life. Close, but no cigar. Mag will have to truck himself back to base, though, to heal on up.
Mag's not even that scared. He went for the Gloves of Haste as opposed to Belt of Strength because he's not even worried about dying from 100 to 0. He could also be going for a Midas, but generally we see Treads first.
Showing a lot of confidence in his off-lane experience for now. And just to go back towards Illidan and his Troll going with the Helm of the Dominator, you know, that was buffed up recently. As anything you dominate gets an extra 250 bonus. And we've been seeing a couple of Trolls pick up that Alpha Wolf, and that Alpha Wolf with that extra bit of life certainly has a lot of durability to add a lot of damage for a long duration in these potential long skirmishes.
Their team needs a lot of farm, and it's similar to the Drow game from yesterday. They maximize the use out of the map by having one person do Ancients that normally wouldn't be able to do Ancients that early with a Helm of Dominator. So they need Pana to farm his Blink and, you know, get a Vlad's after Faces Void to get his items up in a Troll Warlord. And, you know, all of them occupying the same jungle and the same lanes is just not the best use of the map in general. And you can see FNG already stacking up the Ancients without even the help of the HOD creep.
Mid lane, though, they're making him go. 8 Mother could be in trouble. Gets out the link onto the bear, which will persist, but he's already eating so much damage, he has to step himself up to the high ground here. We'll see if Brew looks to make the pull back. The Immolation Burn continues. Razor gets bullied out of that mid lane, and will have to walk himself back to base. But the lane dominance seems to continue here. What do you feel like is going to have to be the turning point for NiP? I mean, Puck is obviously going to be a bit off from being able to get any sort of reasonably timed Blink Dagger.
Lion 6, Jug 6, and Puck 6. They have really strong ultimates, and with Brew using his first, Hanskin taking a lot of right click on top.
They try to make a move forward, and now Hanskin's getting hit pretty hard. Even the Troll Summoner is getting in on the action right now to get him to go the hell away.
But they can hit while Brew's ult is still down and take a couple of kills. Jug is like a couple of creeps away from 6. So, I mean, they're not that far behind. Certainly the laning phase did not work out for them.
Wow. FNG simply walks forward with the benefit of that ward and just nukes him from the low ground. How unfortunate there for Lion. And he just walks away with an easy, breezy kill right there.
Well, the Puck will get the ward in the end.
Yeah, obviously now the tell that there's vision up on that high ground, but it's a sad way to find out that there's a ward on the high ground. So now he has to step on back. FNG gets a lot out of it there on his Lich. Now level 6. He's got the Chain Frost at the ready. Even Polar supports are just leagues beyond the side of NiP in this early game.
I mean, Lil is just free farming the bottom lane, trying to get his level 6. Illidan is occupying the jungle, and overall, Polar being very, very efficient. In the meantime, you still have Lich just denying.
There's that Alpha Wolf. Illidan's able to easily chop down any
Here
sort
they go.
of
Smoke,
neutrals.
Seal Kid, Handskin, walking around.
Feeling like a...
Can they even kill a troll? I suppose so, if they find him alone.
It looks like for now they have their crosshairs on an easier target, the Rubik. We'll see.
Rubik's not that... He's not that easy of a kill because he's right under the tower, and he's not that important.
FNG does not have a TP, though, like he traditionally would. We'll see if any other rotations come. Actually, we get 2 of them there. Telekinesis and Handskin's already very weak. He just gets dropped immediately from Illidan like it was nothing. And that's it. That was a hopeful attempt there from NiP to try to recover from a struggling early game. And it's still Polar who continues to succeed, and they want more. Oh, the Chrono right in front. He sidesteps it for now. Vengeful, though, still zoned back, and we'll be moving forward. Mag.
That's awkward.
Going to be not catching that one. And all the meanwhile, Brew does take down 8 Mother in that mid lane during that engagement. 5-1 now. Polar continue to find so much success.
And the only one who's farming decently is Era in a sea of Radiant high CS.
All right, though, here we go. Rotating in after the tower is dropping. They're making it go onto FNG. Still has that chain. Can't get it off in time. Omni Slash is going to be there from Era, but Era could end up dropping. He will end up dropping. Illidan gets another one. Still moving forward. That Wolf right by his side, and they take another life. They're looking over, trying to get a hold of Jonas now. Should be fine. Still has the orb up and ready.
Is he fine?
Though.
I don't think so.
Know. Silence, though, will help out. Lil trying to get a hold of him.
Lil was really close to telekinesing him during the orb.
Good quick silence, but still NiP not getting these better engagements. Every time they feel like they might be able to get the upper hand, even with that late rotation, just does not matter.
They dual lane mid, and Phobos still has a 10-minute Blink Dagger. That's how bad things are going for NiP. Like,
and he wants to put it to use right here.
I can't stress how badly that is going.
Oh, we got it. We got the memo. He jumps in, gets the clap, doesn't even need the split. There's the Chain Frost, and there's the last little swat. And they take down that Razor. 8-2 now. Polar, they are warmed up and ready here for the lower bracket finals, and already just dreaming of a day of moving on to Empire.
You also see an unusual build from the Puck with no points of phase shift, which, I mean, they do need the damage, that's for sure. And at this point, a level 1 phase shift isn't really going to save him from that much. There aren't very many projectiles to disjoint Chain Frost and maybe Troll Axes. So I can get on board with that.
Rotation coming in, but they've already drawn it out and predicted it. Era gets nuked and shoved away there. Polar just always seem, for now, to be one step ahead.
They're waiting to get a kill with Mag, Chrono, and a Troll ult.
0-1 on those Chronos,
and smoking a Roche while this is happening.
Yeah, this could be a bit of a space creation towards the top lane.
8 Mother actually might be going in. Let's see.
Ooh.
He knows.
Yeah, he does. Moves right forward. Illidan actually could be in trouble here. Nice static link, and he's just going to be on him and look to pursue. Illidan continues to run. Meanwhile, up and above, the wave flies out, but jumping in is going to be the Brew, and he does have the clap. Moves in, drops it, Split's going to be there, and now it's 8 Mother who's going to be in trouble. Jonas desperate to help out, but can't really offer a whole lot. They continue their pursuit. There's going to be the stone, and they're going to take down the Razor. A nice quick snag. Meanwhile, on the other side, they do manage to take down Illidan with a swift Omni coming out from Era. And they still want Phobos. Phobos with no mana. But he's going to be able to walk away. Still, high tension over here by the Roche pit as Lil comes forward.
Freaking Lil has a blink.
Freaking Lil.
Freaking Lil.
He's got the Omni now. He takes it from Era's face. And there's the coil. He's waiting for now. Sees the Blade Fury comes out, pops it, but he ends up getting dropped. But yeah, he already has that Blink Dagger. Very, very rich Polar squad. Now Era now going to eat the nuke, forced to drop out the ward. There goes the Chain Frost. Phobos should be able to finish him off and will finish him off. Dominating streak for your Brewmaster here. 11-4.
The farm on Polar is insane.
Yeah.
Blink Dagger on Rubik, as well as Blink Dagger on Mag. And Troll, that was a nice check by 8-man there.
Uh-oh, top lane. There's that Chrono. It does connect. Handskin will get immediately right-kicked and handled. Another takedown right there. A successful solo pick for Mag. He's going right for that Mask of Madness.
As if he needs more attack speed.
Yeah, right?
Rutrow.
So with that, Phobos is just going to continue to use all this extra bit of farm. He's 4-0-0 to get a hold of that Vlad's. And Illidan obviously already has the Helm of the Dominator. Looks like he's going to go for the Sage and Yasha build. Meanwhile, top lane, here we go. Mag now could be in a bit of trouble. Static Link, 8-Mother, and Seal Kid looking to get onto it. Oh, this will be pretty defeating if they can't finish him off, but they are able to get it there. 8-Mother grabs that one, gets the final little right-click in. They commit a lot to take him down, but they finally get themselves another notch on their side. 12-5 now.
He was able to buy his Mask of Madness recipe before he died, and it looks like they're going to commit more to the pit right now. That ward that was right below the Ancients has timed out. Yep. This is an easy Roche with 4, with a Vlad's complete.
They have this ward up towards the north, but they didn't have to walk past it to get into the pit. And there we go, Jonas showing him, I know what's happening here. Is he going to go for any sort of cheeky play? Will not be able to. Roche drops, Illidan picks up his Aegis, and there's that Mask of Madness you talked about on Mag. Polar still just looking so strong here in the first game.
The only one with items is Jug. Jug has a Mask of Madness and Treads, but everyone else still pretty broke. The Puck's actually made a decent recovery. He might get his Blink Dagger at a decent clipping.
Yeah. He got himself 2 kills. That certainly helps, especially with the start where he got that snag with the orb on that mid lane. Helps him recover because it was a rough time for him in that off lane. And now Illidan, after they already taken down successfully that bottom tier 1 tower, they want to add some pressure towards the mid, and all the meanwhile NiP are scouting out the bottom situation here. Lil is nearby, but he does have that Blink Dagger. Even getting a hold of a Rubik becomes a bit more difficult, but they're ready to swarm here. Looking to come in from behind, you can see smoked up is going to be Seal Kid. If he waves behind the tower, they will have vision, and that Blink will be disabled. We'll see if they look to go and converge right onto the support. But they have no creeps, they have to wait. And all the meanwhile, they easily took down that mid-tier 1 tower.
Taken out rather efficiently. Looks like they will clear out the creep wave on bottom, and now the siege begins.
And Lil quickly snags that orb, blinks, and TP's home. And it looks like they're just going to hand NiP over this tier 1 tower. They're already just getting so much everywhere else. They'd already taken down and traded an objective on the mid lane, and they're going to get even another one here at the top. And Mag is able to pick up the last hit on that. He's already got 1K gold after completing that Mask of Madness here. And if we take a brief look at the net worth, it's only 16 minutes in, Merlini, but they are already above 10K.
Era gets picked up in mid.
Yep, they're making the go. Pull back. Chrono's already there. Era is going to be in trouble. And Mag just begins to hammer it on in. And even a Blade Fury is not going to save you there. Era goes down, the most successful farmer for now on NiP. And Jonas is able to pick up his Blink top lane, though. They're making it go. Tomahawks fly on out. Handskin gets off the stun, but he ends up being taken down now. Phobos pulls out the split. 8-Mother looking to come on 4, but he gets caught. There's going to be the stun. It's going to be another takedown. Illidan with the double kill. Cyclone coming out from Phobos. It's going to be a 3-man drop. Phobos gets that one. He's on a mega kill streak on his brew. This is just perfect execution coming out from Polar. They're getting everything they want from top to bottom.
Yowza.
I don't know what's happening, Ben. We get in these kind of games. We had it yesterday with Fire. These teams just start to struggle, and the recovery comes a lot harder than you can anticipate. And they're actually already going for the high ground. They're just so confident. They have the Aegis. There's really no reason not to. And I say that, they pull on back, though. They're going to play a little extra safe as everyone responds. The caster curse is real.
2 minutes left on the Aegis. And Troll is just so fat now. 1,400 HP. Level 2 Omni on Juggernaut, he can maybe kill him, but if he doesn't Omni, he is dead. I don't think he'll survive a Blade Fury with this really fast move speed Troll on top of him.
Ilden nearby. Try to get a hold of Hanskin. Missed, but now Hanskin pings him out. Even just 2 man, he's already down a 3rd life. Just 2 little auto attacks, that's all it takes. Poor little supports on the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. Era's going to farm up, of course, those Ancient stacks to kind of try to pull it back later into the game. And Jonas did get that Blink Dagger on Puck, but we have yet to really see it utilized. No real big coils coming out this game quite yet for him. And that Puck trend is continuing to happen here in game number 1. What were we at? 1-7 for Puck so far? Not looking good to get that 2nd win here.
Well,
here we see Vengeful Spirit looking to scout and move to the bottom lane. And I mean, just they're going from objective to objective, just down their checklist of things to do for Polar. Everything just continues to execute very nicely. Seal Kid is going to hit the high road to go back out. Meanwhile, mid lane, seeing a nice little cluster heal. As Polar, they're gonna go for tier 2s at this point and use as much time as they can with that Aegis.
About 45 seconds left on that. They still really can't go on Illidan. If they go on Illidan with like a Blink, a Coil, and an Omni Slash, they immediately lose the fight. So they kind of just have to wait it out. At the same time, I don't really know if Polar wants to push this. They do have Brew Ultimate up, but it is a pretty small window. But then again, they have Troll, they have Fervor.
And they also have Chrono. I mean, what can you do at NiP at this point to look to contest? They make the jump in, and they could be the ones that are caught with their pants down.
They fight in the Aegis, they lose. So they have to wait like 15 more seconds. Maybe they can initiate in like 10.
Just can't help but feel like in the early game, what went wrong? We felt pretty confident about the NiP draft coming into this one. Uh-oh, Seal Kid, though, goes a little too far forward, and they make the jump, and they will take him down. Your Vengeful Spirit support goes down. Ilden continues to go right for those objectives, takes down the tier 3, goes for the Rax. This Rax is going to be dropped as well. He's also getting that bonus damage, of course, still from the Alpha Wolf. So he's hitting pretty damn hard. 126 plus 100. Cycloning up Era, trying to take him out as much as possible. 8 Mother moves in, but they already take down what they want. Max shows up, drops down a very nice Chrono onto 3, and this is going to be a Polar slaughter happening right here. Ilden dominating him. Era, the lone survivor. This could be an early GG, and it certainly has been. It doesn't take long to start our day off. The white flag has been thrown up, and NiP need to put their heads into game number 2.
I think they got outplayed in every lane. You can't give up first blood like that on a Puck that early. Puck's not that great of an offlaner to begin with. He's like decent, but he gave Illidan first blood before he hit level 2, and he had phase boost when Puck returns to lane. What are you going to do at that point? The recovery is just not there. So NiP, I thought their lanes were okay, and Razor, you generally think of winning his lane. Juggernaut, very difficult to lose a lane with too, but the ledge pick, was really good.
They pulled out a good dual lane setup. They got just some easy breezy kills, and Puck can be very elusive in the early game, but if the laning situation struggles, it's not like it's an easy situation to step back and find jungle farm like your Nature's Prophet, like your Bat Rider, or even a Darkseer. These heroes that if they have a struggle in the early phase, they could just find gold elsewhere. Puck, it's not going to be as easy, so the recovery factor is not going to be as good. And, well, top-notch play coming out from the Polar boys.
20 minute and 1 second.
20 minute and 1 second.
So it was less than a 20-minute GG. That's ugly. Well, not too much to analyze there. NiP have to shake it off. What about the Brewmaster? You talked about it before the draft.
That's the thing is like you're putting a lot of focus on being able to have those respect bands, but then you forget something like a Brew, and it sneaks in. And Phobos is a top-notch Brew player.
Yeah, and they picked Brew twice in a row, I think, yesterday. So
I would not be surprised.
At least they have first pick. No, they have first pick this time, so they don't have to ban it. If they want to, I mean, they could use it. But first pick, I still think is a little bit stronger. Maybe even, I mean, the win rate doesn't suggest it, but.
All right, well, we'll have to see what they think about here and what they do prioritize in that draft. And, I mean, we're speechless. There's no question about it. I'm sure NiP are also like, this is not how they wanted to lead off our day. We certainly weren't expecting such a one-sided performance. But we'll hope out that maybe Ninjas and Pajamas could take it to a game number 3 here. That's Ben. I'm KOTLguy. We'll be back shortly.
Esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Rochan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. Esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.